Welcome to Steiny Films episode number 1. Today we are going to go over the Antonio Brown trade that happened late Saturday night and also a little bit of an NFL free agency preview starting this week. Alright, first of many videos hopefully, so let's get it going! So late Saturday night, Antonio Brown became an Oakland Raider. He was traded to the Raiders by the Steelers for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Thank God the saga is over. I think Steelers fans should thank AB for everything that he's done for their franchise. Even though he kind of played like a drama queen. He's a diva, but he can put up big numbers. But I think the question facing AB, Antonio Brown, is can he put up big numbers without Ben Roethlisberger? I think that will be the blaring question. But also, does John Gruden know how to use him? I wake up every day as a Bears fan thanking John Gruden for giving us a once-in-a-generation pass rusher in his prime in Khalil Mack. So John Gruden, I know you're not watching this, obviously. I bet you probably don't even know what YouTube is. But thank you so much for giving us Khalil Mack. Okay, but moving on, Antonio Brown will provide somewhat of production that the Raiders haven't had from a wide receiver in a long time. 6 straight seasons, Antonio Brown has had over 100 catches, while the Raiders, they haven't had a wide receiver with 100 catches since Tim Brown, the Hall of Famer, in the year 1997, while he has provided 1,200 or more yards since 2013, and the Raiders have not had a 1,200-yard receiver since Jerry Rice's 40-year-old season in 2002, the year they went to the Super Bowl. So he will provide the Raiders some pretty good production. I hope he doesn't fall off. Even though he's kind of a diva, he's a great player, and I don't want him to fall off. Even though I kind of do, because John Gruden is portrayed by the media as a savior to the Raiders, but he's traded away one of the best defensive players of our era in Khalil Mack. And also, you had a pretty good young wide receiver in Amari Cooper, which I'm going to give you some stats here. Amari Cooper is 24 years old. He is going to be 25 this upcoming 2019 season. And 6 games with the Raiders because Gruden didn't really know how to use him. 22 catches, 280 yards, and only 1 touchdown until he got traded to Dallas with 9 games with the Cowboys. 53 catches, 725 yards, and half a dozen touchdowns. So, the combined season for Amari Cooper, 75 catches, 1,005 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Now, I believe if Amari Cooper had played the whole season with Dallas, he easily would have gotten 1,200 yards. It's not even a doubt. Amari Cooper really helped the Dallas Cowboys go to the playoffs. Shannon Sharpe said this best. I don't really watch that type of show, especially with Skip Bayless, obviously, don't like him, I have my opinions about him. But Shannon Sharpe said it best about John Gruden. John Gruden should be the executive of the year because he created 2 playoff teams. I'm not sure if he created 2 playoff teams, but it's similar to that. But what Shannon said, even though Shannon tends to be a little flamboyant, Shannon's right. John Gruden, he hasn't built any type of winning program. He won a Super Bowl in 2002, but that was with a handed-over roster from Tony Dungy. A historic defense that was built by Tony Dungy. And John Gruden couldn't manage Keyshawn Johnson, which that will be his biggest test, is how he's learned from the Keyshawn Johnson situation back in the early 2000s, because Obviously, it's a similar situation with Antonio Brown. So can Gruden manage Antonio Brown, someone who's outspoken and brash? Has he learned from Keyshawn Johnson? But getting to John Gruden, I don't think his offense has even evolved from 1998. And since he left coaching in 2008, he just came back. He spent 9 seasons in the Monday Night Football booth, maybe 10 if I get my numbers correct, I don't know. He's had the chance to see evolving offenses over the years. And watching a little bit of the Raiders last season, it doesn't look like one bit has evolved from 1998 football. It's basically a Stone Age offense. He has the reputation of a quarterback guru when most of his offenses have been built around the running game, mostly with Mike Alstott in Tampa Bay. Cadillac Williams' his Rookie of the Year season, and he fell off afterwards. And also, I do like that the Raiders have brought in Mike Mayock as general manager, I will admit. But it's John Gruden making all the personnel moves. And John Gruden, I don't think he can build a winning team in the modern era of football because the general manager signs off on all the personnel decisions. They have the final say, and John Gruden has the final say in Oakland. So, basically, I don't think John Gruden can build a winning team. I hope I'm wrong, because the Raiders have such a passionate fan base. And they've kind of been rejected by the end of Al Davis was not good, and Mark Davis is kind of stupid. But, you know, I don't believe in John Gruden. I don't think he can build a winning team in the modern age of football. Can he manage Antonio Brown? Doesn't even know how to use him in his Stone Age offense. Can Antonio Brown even put up numbers in John Gruden's Stone Age offense that's built around the running game? It's not really built around the passing game. It is built around the running game. And I think that will really hurt Antonio Brown's numbers. But, I could be wrong. I could be right. Who knows? Anyways, let's talk about some NFL free agency. All right, we are going to start part 2 of this video with NFL free agency, a preview. What I've decided to do is give you my prediction of where these select players will land. And for some players, I will give you a scouting report. All right, starting off with Trey Flowers of the New England Patriots, scheduled to be a free agent. He is a 3-4 defensive end, a 3 technique. Fun fact, that is where Akeem Hicks was when he played for the Patriots in 2015. So Trey Flowers, 3-4 defensive end, 3 technique, good run stuffer, can clog up the middle. He's a Swiss Army knife, can do whatever, provide noise wherever, on any defense. It would have to be a 3-4 scheme. Just a quick reminder, though, 3-4 defensive ends are more inside instead of pass rushers. So they could do pretty much anything. They could stuff the run and also rush the passer, but not really on the edge, but more on the inside. So I think Trey Flowers will go to the Tennessee Titans on a 3 to 4 year deal because Mike Vrabel, head coach of the Titans, I don't know if you would consider him a Belichick disciple. He played under Belichick, but he has a lot of the same core principles of Bill Belichick. So that's my prediction. Trey Flowers goes to the Tennessee Titans on a 3 to 4 year deal worth, I'm guessing in the range of 50 to 70 million. 70 might be a little bit too much, but I think he could be a pretty good player. In Mike Vrabel's system, defensive system, is basically, it's pretty similar to Bill Belichick's system. So I think Trey Flowers will be a good fit in Tennessee. A couple more defensive players that I am looking out for there's going to be a bidding war for two of the best safeties in this free agency class in Earl Thomas and Landon Collins. I think Earl Thomas will go to the Dallas Cowboys. Last season, got cut very early. He got off to a pretty good start. He recorded 3 interceptions in only 4 games, but he got injured in Arizona early in the season, so that cut his season short. He is 30 years old. He is going to be this May, so who knows how much longer he will be playing. Meanwhile, Landon Collins is very young. I think Jerry Jones is going to be in the bidding war, as will the Washington Redskins. The Packers will also be a contender for Landon Collins. If they land Landon Collins, no offense, Packers fans, I'm speaking the truth here. He will be the best safety you've had since Nick Collins in 2011 and Charles Woodson. Actually, Charles Woodson was a corner. But the best defensive back. Safety since Nick Collins in 2011, the final year of his career. And defensive back since Charles Woodson. That's how long it's been since the Packers have had a good safety and a defensive back. He will be your best defensive back. He will be your best defensive back. Not named Jair Alexander, who I think is going to be an absolute stud of a slot corner. But watch out for the Kansas City Chiefs as well. Landon Collins had a breakout year under new defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. And if the Chiefs decide to move on from Eric Berry, that is going to be a sneaky, sneaky team to get into the Landon Collins mix and sign him. It would make a ton of sense. The Chiefs got torn up in the secondary last year. So Landon Collins would greatly improve that secondary for Kansas City. On the linebacker side, Justin Houston, 30 years old, just got cut by the Chiefs. I don't have a prediction on where he's going to land. The Bears make sense, but, the Bears don't have a ton of cap space. They used a lot of it last year for Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, Trey Burton, and Khalil Mack. Besides, the Bears are they're good at edge rusher. They could use a little bit of depth, but come on, Justin Houston he's better than a third-string edge rusher. The Bears are set on both ends of the edge with Leonard Floyd and Mack. So I don't think Justin Houston will be landing in Chicago, though it does make sense with former Chiefs offensive coordinator and coach of the year, not forgetting that, I do have a picture with him, Matt Nagy. And otherwise, C.J. Mosley will stay in Baltimore. I'm probably going to be wrong on that, but I think that is the most logical option for him. I believe it'll happen. While Anthony Barr is going to stay in Minnesota. However, do not be surprised if he ends up on a team like Ron Rivera and the Carolina Panthers. Probably not. But what I'm trying to say is a team with a base 4-3 defensive scheme. Because that is Anthony Barr's main wheelhouse. A couple of offensive free agents that I will be looking out for. Of course, this one, quarterback Nick Foles, a Philadelphia legend. The Eagles did not use their franchise tag on him. So what I believe the most obvious and logical outcome for Nick Foles is that he is going to end up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I love the people, kind of a side note here, who pronounce it Jaguars. It's Jaguars. Jaguars. Say it correctly. Watch this video and learn your lesson. Report to me if you've learned. So I think Nick Foles going to the Jaguars is the most obvious outcome. Nick Foles played under John DeFilippo, the new offensive coordinator of the Jacksonville Jaguars, just hired this past January. During their 2017 Super Bowl run, where the legend of Nick Foles was born, and Nick Foles is playoff luck began. He has every right to be cocky when it comes to the playoffs. Anyways, Foles passed for 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns this season. He did everything possible late in the season, partially shattering my heart, but not fully. During the later part of the 2018 season, that he proved that the 2017 Cinderella postseason run was not a fluke. Talk about system quarterbacks all you want. I'm going to go a little bit off script here. Everyone's arguing, oh, Tom Brady's a system quarterback. Well, I'm not going to make an official comment that Tom Brady is a system quarterback. I think there's logical arguments for both sides of the argument. I'm going to tell you this right now, to your face. Nick Foles is the definition of a system quarterback. If he played under any system besides Doug Peterson or Chip Kelly's system early in his career, he would have been out of football right now. I guarantee you he would have been out of football right now. Doug Peterson is the best thing that happened to his career. If Nick Foles doesn't have a spread offense around him, a spread concept, spread West Coast fusion that Andy Reid has sort of revolutionized in the NFL, if Nick Foles was never a quarterback in that system, he would have been out of this league. Yes, I know in 2015 he played under Jeff Fisher, and yes, every quarterback failed under Jeff Fisher except for Steve McNair. But I think Nick Foles is the definition of a system quarterback. I'm sorry. I have to put that out there. He is a system quarterback. There's no other way of putting it. But John DeFilippo knows how to use Nick Foles, so I think going to Jacksonville will be a good option for Nick Foles. And finally, Le'Veon Bell. I think he is the top free agent in this whole class. Le'Veon Bell can go off for 1,800 to 2,000 yards, all-purpose yards in any season. 2017, the last season he played, 1,241 yards on the ground, 655 yards receiving on 85 catches. So that adds up to around 1,800 to 1,900 yards all-purpose. I think Le'Veon Bell, there's going to be at least 5 teams in the bidding. Oakland just cleared up cap space by trading Kelechi Osemele today. So, interesting fact here. If the Raiders do end up signing Le'Veon Bell, 2/3 of the Killer Bees will be in Oakland, Raider Nation. But if I were Le'Veon Bell, the team I'd sign with is the Indianapolis Colts. They have $102 million or some sort of that number in cap space this year. And that team is built to win a championship. You've got Andrew Luck regaining his superhuman powers. Marlon Mack is a pretty good running back, don't get me wrong, but Le'Veon Bell would make that offense so much better than it actually is. You've got a stud offensive lineman who is the anchor of the whole offensive line unit in Quentin Nelson. That guy's going to be an all-pro starting next year on. And you got a stud anchor on the defensive end in Darius Leonard. Led the NFL in tackles in his rookie season. 140 around that range. So the Colts, they have a great head coach in Frank Reich who would find creative ways to use Le'Veon Bell in new ways that he wasn't really used in Pittsburgh. And they have a very smart general manager who drafts very well in Chris Ballard. So if I were Le'Veon Bell, I would take the money and go to Indianapolis no matter how much they pay him. Because that team, I think, will win a championship 2 to 3 years from now. And that's my honest opinion. Alright, that does it for the first edition of Steiny Films. Hopefully the first of many. It's just around 1:30 where I am. So, I'm about to get some good sleep. I've been working hard on this pretty much all day. I hope you really enjoyed this, and I hope to do this more often. I guarantee you, I will be doing a hybrid mock draft of some sort. around NFL draft season. So, subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.